Hello, this is Sean Avanis with MultiTech Radio Bridge. Today we're going to talk about connecting your first LoRa sensor to the network, getting it up and running. An agenda is an intro, which we've already done. I have a slide that's a glossary of terms to discuss some of the items we're going to be talking about today, and you can always go back and look at that slide and cross-reference them. I have a little bit of information on the sensor we're going to be using today, a little bit of information on our different gateways. And then we're going to jump into an intro to MultiTech's conduit user interface called mPower. I'm going to have a 30-second overview of DeviceHQ, which is our remote management for our gateways. And then we're going to jump into the Radio Bridge device console, adding a gateway to it, adding a sensor to it, configuring the sensor, and then viewing sensor data live, and then looking at the data over time. So like I mentioned, this is a glossary of terms that you can always go back and look at. These are very brief descriptions, each of these things, but if you have questions during this presentation on what these things are, this is a good slide to jump back to. So the Radio Bridge sensor that we're going to be talking about is the push button sensor. It's a single push button. The part number is the RBS304-1. It's a single button LoRa device. It's based on a LoRa wireless technology, very long range, several miles. It has excellent penetration through walls and doors. Inside the device there's a tamper detector. So if you open up the device, you won't take the 3 screws out, you can see in the console that the device has been opened. And that might not be important for a device like this, but for other devices it is. You don't want things being hacked. It has automatic error reporting through the supervisor messages that get sent to the console. And this device can be configured over the air. And we'll go into more detail when we look at the console. Our gateways, we offer many different types of gateways. They all run the same conduit software, the mPower software. So for example, this white gateway on the top here, this is targeted for more for like an office type environment. It's a plastic enclosure. That gateway is available with wired Ethernet and a cellular connection or just wired Ethernet. Again, it's perfect for a hospital or an environment where there's not a lot of dust and water and noise. Where if you are working in an industrial type environment, this MTCDT is a better solution for that. It's in a metal case, it can be mounted to a wall. This device is a little bit more robust. In this device, you'll find additional features like a Bluetooth module, a Wi-Fi module built into it. And it is configurable. You can put different modules in the user ports. So you can add additional LoRa modules. You can make one an RS-232 port, one an additional Ethernet port. It's very versatile. And then we offer a device that you can mount on a pole outside or outside of a building, and it supports power over Ethernet, so you can run a single Cat5 or Cat6 to this device and power the device as well as get signal information over Ethernet. And this device is IP67, so it's very resilient to dust and water and things like that. The conduit is what we call our devices. They all run this mPower software, which I'm going to go into more detail. This software allows you to configure these devices, how you want to use 4G, or if you want to use 4G or just Wi-Fi, or how you want to configure Bluetooth. And we'll go into more detail on how that's done here. So the gateway, this is the mPower interface to our gateway. This is the home screen where it actually talks about the device, information about the cellular, EMEI, WAN configuration, cellular, the current signal strength, Wi-Fi, how is it set up, the IP address of Wi-Fi, LAN, the IP address of LAN, Ethernet, Bluetooth, and then the LoRa section of it. We're going to use this section, the LoRa area, to configure the network, but I just want to go over a couple quick things inside of our conduit software. We have the ability to set up any of the network ports as DHCP clients or DHCP servers. That all can be specified here. You can configure the cellular network. You can make it work with Verizon or AT&T or whatever you want to work with. Wireless, you can make the device an access point, or you can make this a node connecting to an existing network with a password. We also support configuring BLE inside the graphical interface. Security is our #1 goal with all our gateways. We're nonstop doing updates to improve security. One of the things very important in security is firewalls. You can block every port on the entire device except for maybe 1 or 2, and you can specify those ports. We support SMS messaging for monitoring the device. So if it can send Ethernet connection, anytime something's connected to Ethernet or Wi-Fi or with the current APN setting, it could all be sent. We also support a VPN in our gateways. We have administrative tools. One of them is our remote management. I mentioned DeviceHQ. We specified that we want to use remote management. And then we have this device called, or the software called DeviceHQ, where you can actually look at the individual devices. That's the device I'm on right now. I can look at the current status of the device. I can look at how often it's checked in, how strong the cellular signal strength is, network, how much data is being sent over from the device. If you're using cellular, that's important. I can look at the status of the LoRa module that's built into it. You can also do things like upgrades to the device. You can send new applications to the device. You can configure the device. It's a very powerful tool. So getting back to LoRa, which this video was created for, in order for us to send LoRa information to the cloud, we have a few different options. The most simple one is packet forward, and that's what we're going to discuss today. But another one is you can make this device a network server. It's typically called a LoRa network server, LNS. And when you make the device an LNS, it brings the actual data into the gateway, and you can make edge-based decisions with that data. You can format the data, you can send it to any different types of source. It's very powerful, and that's something we have an advantage on our gateway. Is it's very versatile to be able to modify that data or make changes to that data. In this case, just being real simple, we're going to make the device a packet forwarder. So any packets that are sent around that gateway, LoRa packets, they're going to be forwarded to a network server, an LNS, remotely in the cloud. And in this case, we're going to send it to a Radio Bridge chirp stack, which is hosted by Radio Bridge. If we didn't want to use Radio Bridge, there's devices out there like CNET, the Things Network, that you can send the information to. When you click on one of these options, like the Radio Bridge chirp stack, all the information is filled in for you. So you just click submit and it's ready to go. So that's what we would do here. Click submit and we're set to go. So after that's been configured, we can go to the console. And with the console, first time you go to it, you have two options. You can type in console.radiobridge.com and it'll take you right here. Or if you go to radiobridge.com, up in the corner, there's a section to log into the console. The first time you log in, you want to create an account. It's just going to ask you for basic information like your username, your password, your email address. Once you've logged in, or once you've created an account, you can log in. And when you first log in, you see a dashboard of kind of an overview of everything you have. How many messages, how many gateways, how many devices. What we're going to be doing today is setting up that gateway that we just configured to be a packet forwarder. And to that, you click on gateways, you click on add gateway, and then you specify what type of gateway you're using. So you have different options here. I mentioned MultiTech's an option. MultiTech is something you would click if you have your gateway configured as a LoRa network server, which is doing making decisions, it's doing edge computing on the LoRa packets, and then those packets or that data is forwarded to the Radio Bridge console. The Things Network's an option. Today we're going to use chirp stack. So when you specify chirp stack, it asks for a gateway name. So you can specify a gateway name, but you can't use any spaces. So you just enter whatever you like, but just don't use any spaces or special characters. IP address is where your local address is. For example, here it's 6853 for my gateway. So when you click on the gateway, it brings up the console type interface. So I'm going to enter 192.168.68.53. The gateway unique address could be found on the back of the gateway, or it could be found inside of the conduit software. So it can be found in mPower, which is the conduit software, or it could be found on the back of any of the devices. So I highlighted both in red. So I'm going to go back and look at it inside the console. So under LoRa card information, I can show more information, and this is the information. This is the unique address. I can click this icon and it copies it to the clipboard. Then I can come back here and paste it. And then description, you can type whatever you want in there, gateway. And then you hit register gateway, and now your gateway is registered to the Radio Bridge chirp stack server. So after we've added the gateway, now we want to add a device to the network. So to add a device, we click on Add Device, And we can specify any of these different networks you want to add a device to. Two of the ones out there are CNET and Helium. These are public servers that are spread out across cities all over the United States. For example, Helium and CNET I actually have in the city that I live in. So I have a couple devices connecting over Helium to the Radio Bridge console. You have the ability to connect to the Things network. You can use a MultiTech gateway as a LoRa network server and connect it to it that way, or we can use a ChirpStack server, which we're going to use today. Once you specify ChirpStack server or any of these gateways, they're basically going to ask you for the same information. The device name, you can make this anything you like. You can use spaces in this one, so we can call it Sean's push button. The device ID, that can be found with the little label that they give you when you buy one of the gateways, where it contains the ID and their certificate. And also, most of our sensors also have a device ID and key actually on a sticker on the side of the device. You'll see that there's also QR codes to get that data. So with the QR codes, you can take a picture with your cell phone and it'll pull it up on your phone, or if you're more advanced or you're doing larger deployments, you can buy a USB barcode scanner for your PC, and you can scan the barcode and it'll provide that information right to the user interface. So I don't have that, so to make it real simple, I have Notepad running here, so I'm going to paste the device ID and the device key. So device type, you specify which Radio Bridge device you're connecting, and in this case it's a single push button. And then the join unique address, we're going to use the default of 0101.0.0.1. And then you click continue to continue, and it would be added to the device list. So here's a single push button that we have connected to the device, to the Radio Bridge console. And if I were to push the button on my push button, you can see that it was just sent on May 4th at this time. This is the payload that was sent to the console. And then the console decodes that payload, and it's just saying buttons pressed. It could say buttons released. It could say buttons been held. If you had a sensor that was humidity and temperature, it would show the humidity and it would show the temperature in the exact value. It wouldn't look like a hexadecimal payload, which is a really nice feature. Another thing you have the ability to do with these individual sensors is you can configure the sensor. So I can specify that I see an event when a button's pushed. I can say yes or no. When a button's released, I have it set for no, so you're not seeing me releasing the button, you just see me push the button. If I do hold the button, I have that enabled, and the enable time is 3 seconds. So if I press the button for 3 seconds instead of button pressed, you'll see button held. You can specify that you want the LED to blink on the actual physical device when you push a button. You can specify that to blink it again when the device information is sent, and then blink again when a confirmation is sent, an acknowledgement is sent to the device. So if I push my button right now, I will see an LED blink that it's sent, and I'll see another one that it's acknowledged. Another really nice feature, if you want to look at data over time, you can click on these 3 dots and export information to Excel. So if I export information to Excel, it downloads an Excel file, and if I click on the Excel file, it opens up Excel, and inside of Excel it shows the a timestamp when something occurred, the name of my device, the device ID, the actual payload that was sent. These are individual payloads. These are supervisory packets that are sent with additional information. You can see low battery, tamper status, the battery voltage. Currently it's staying at 3 volts, so that's very good. But another way you can send this information is you can have a API. If I look at the devices here, you can have an API to send information to another service like AWS or Azure or your own cloud service. That's also an option. I don't have any of the APIs on. I don't have APIs on this device right now, but that's an option you can have. So this was a quick summary of connecting a LoRa sensor to a MultiTech gateway and then sending information to the Radio Bridge console. If you have additional questions, please contact myself or anybody within MultiTech, and we'll get back to you, as soon as possible with a good answer. Thank you for your time.